A loaded show on tap today for Golden State Warriors. Today, James Wiseman has been cleared to play in the G League level. Also, should Jordan Poole replace Klay Thompson in the starting lineup? That's all coming your way. But first, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 28,000 subs by the end of the week. If you're looking for the best Warriors news and rumors coverage on the entire internet, the solution is easy. Just hit that red subscribe button down below, and Dub Nation, let's get to it right now. Welcome in to Warriors Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Chase Senior. We start off today's show with some really significant news regarding one of the best young players on this roster in James Wiseman, a player who we haven't seen since last spring. We're coming up on a calendar year of James Wiseman not playing at all for the Warriors. That might be coming to an end soon. That's coming from Shams Charnia of The Athletic. He said this on Twitter this afternoon as we record this on Tuesday. Warriors say James Wiseman has been finally cleared to play in 2 Santa Cruz NBA G League games on Thursday and Sunday as part of the return-to-play process. If you remember, James Wiseman had that torn meniscus operated on back in April, has not played since. And I thought Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer made a really good point on social media as well, looking at the holes in the Warriors roster, but also some of the big men that the Warriors have to go through if they want to make another run at the NBA Finals. He said this, KOC, I wouldn't go as far as to say that the Warriors need James Wiseman to perform to win the title, but in the West, you might have to beat 3 of the Joker, DeAndre Ayton, Rudy Gobert, Steven Adams, Jonas Valanciunas, Karl Anthony Towns, Zubats of the Clippers, or Anthony Davis. So Wiseman could help give Draymond Green some rest for those battles. And if you get James Wiseman back into the Warriors lineup, in addition to Draymond Green and Kevon Looney, what right now is a very thin Warriors frontcourt could then become one of the strengths on this Warriors roster. But without Wiseman, without Draymond, this is a team that's been really thrashed and picked apart in that front court as players like Karl Anthony Towns, DeAndre Ayton, the Joker continue to go off against the Warriors front line. So if Wiseman's able to come back before the end of the season, I want to ask you this question, Dub Nation. Can he help this team this year? Not looking into the future, not looking into next year, this year, like helping the Warriors contend for a title. Get into the comment section and sound off. Let me know. Type H for he can help, L for it's a little too late. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's video. So if you get hit with that YouTube ad break, it's a perfect opportunity for you to scroll on down and get your votes in. By the time you do that, we'll be back talking Dubs. And really, the big talking point for this basketball team and a big reason why they're 2-9 in their last 11 games is that the Warriors need bodies down low. I commend Kevon Looney for what he's been able to do this year, but outside of Kevon Looney, you don't really have a reliable person in that front court without Draymond or James Wiseman in that front court. So the Warriors really do need some bodies down low, and James Wiseman coming back, let's remember, folks, that he was drafted number 2 a year ago for a reason. He's so gifted, and he can do things on the floor athletically that not many people in the world can do as he hovers around 7 feet, and he's still in his early 20s. He is going to be a good player down the line. He just needs some reps, and for the Warriors and for Wiseman, he needs to get those reps as soon as possible because this Warriors team is built to contend for a championship this year, given that recent spell. Elias Sports had something interesting to say, too, about the Warriors' defensive weaknesses. And this really goes to show you just how bad they've been really in that 2-9 span over the last 11 games, but specifically over the last 4 straight losses. Golden State's defense has allowed more than 120 points in 4 straight games, 506 total points over that span. That's the highest total allowed by the Warriors over any 4-game span since March of 2010 when Steph Curry was a rookie. So that really does summarize just how bad the Warriors have been really since Draymond Green exited the lineup back in January with that calf injury, which then led to him having that back injury. So the Dubs' biggest weakness right now, it's in the post. And that's why that's why some others who cover the Warriors as well as the NBA were a little bit confused and scratching their heads when the Warriors decided to not make a move at the NBA trade deadline. We canvassed this roster and we said, okay, They're set with scoring. They're set at the guard and wing spots. Literally, the only deficiency that the Warriors had on the team was in the post, but they didn't make a move for any of the players out there, didn't bring any assets through the buyout market, and now they're in the predicament that they currently are in as they continue to slip in the Western Conference standings. As for James Wiseman and what he can bring to the table, very gifted player who can handle the basketball, he can block some shots, he can be very efficient around the rim. And I think as he continues to grow his offensive game and stretches his offensive arsenal out to the three-point arc, he can cause a lot of havoc, cause a lot of damage for the Dubs. 11.5 points per game last year as a rookie in 39 games. And remember, only played a few games with Memphis before those ludicrous NCAA rules came into play. Averaged a little less than 6 boards, so he's good on the glass on offensive end as well as the defensive end. And gave you around a block per night as well while shooting around 52% from the floor. I look for him to start knocking down some elbow and baseline Jays. If he's able to do that this year, makes him a more dangerous offensive player, especially in that pick and pop and in the pick and roll. What do you think of Wiseman as a player? And I'm going to watch him play in these G League games this week on Thursday and Sunday to scout him a little bit because the Warriors certainly need him. Let me know what you think of him as a player right now in the immediacy of the moment. A, B, C, D, or F. Once again, you let me know in the comment section right now. Today's show presented to you by our good friends at Fanatics in this fresh Warriors polo. It's available on sale right now, only if you use our link down below. It's chatsports.com/Warriors polo. You must plug in that link down below for that deal to apply. Spring is right around the corner, and I know a lot of you live in California. Chat Sports Studios based in Dallas, Texas. It's starting to get warm, so I'm going to be copping myself this polo so I can roam these Dallas streets while supporting the Dubs, and I'm going to get it by going to chatsports.com/Warriors polo. I'll put that link in the comment section as well as the description of this video. Now, the Warriors did lose against the Denver Nuggets on Monday night, but one of the big takeaways without some of their star players, it's how the young Bulls were able to get to work and really get in the lab. Jordan Poole in 34 minutes dropped 32 points. We'll talk about Poole here momentarily. Moses Moody was fantastic in 36 minutes. He dropped 30 and was really showing off that stroke from long range. And Jonathan Kuminga came in off the bench. He's been a little bit of a spot starter since Draymond Green went out of the lineup, and he chipped in with 16 points, and his all-around game was certainly on display. Let's focus in here on Jordan Poole because he's really been somewhat sporadic since Klay Thompson came back in January. It's funny because when Klay came back, it was the first time in 2 years that him, Draymond, Steph, they were on the floor at the same time, but it only lasted a few seconds and a few minutes before Draymond Green left with that injury. But since then, Poole has been sporadic as the sixth man because he hasn't really had a firm role, and because of that, it's led to some inconsistent play on the offensive end of the floor. But against the Denver Nuggets, you really saw his potential come to light, and he's done this a couple of times this year where the pool party, it's been splashing, homies. 32 points, 11 of 19 from the deck, 8 of 12 from deep, and then 7 dimes on top of it. He really has that wiggle and ability to get to the rack, but that quick release, his ability to really catch fire from deep is what makes Jordan Poole really intriguing asset for this team this year, but also moving forward. It's a big reason why the Warriors are thinking about giving him that 4-year, $80 million deal. But a conversation that Bill Simmons and Ryen Russillo had on the Bill Simmons podcast is what I want to get to next. Klay Thompson, since coming back off the consecutive torn ACL and torn Achilles, hasn't been the same player. And I don't think anybody was expecting him to get back to that 2015 to 2019 form when he helped lead the Warriors to 3 championships over the span of 5 years. And he was an all-NBA defender and a multi-time NBA All-Star. But I think we expected a little bit more from Klay Thompson on both ends of the floor, especially defensively. So Bill Simmons pitched this idea to Ryen Russillo and asked him, should Steve Kerr bench Klay Thompson, have him be the sixth man, and then start Jordan Poole to give this team a little bit more offensive firepower? Now, when you look at what Klay has been able to do since coming off those 2 disastrous injuries, he's been pretty solid, and the raw numbers are good. About 26 minutes per night, 16.5 points per, shooting around 41% from the floor and 37% from distance. Those are pretty solid numbers, but when you actually watch Klay, looks a little bit thin. That's understandable, again, because he wasn't able to work out like he usually does during a normal offseason because he didn't have a normal offseason for 2 years. And defensively, Klay Thompson has been nowhere close to that all-NBA caliber defender. There was a time over the weekend in that loss against the Los Angeles Lakers where LeBron James asked and seeked for Klay Thompson to guard him one-on-one. He would have never done that in the NBA Finals during some of those great rivalry matchups between the Cavaliers and the Warriors, but now LeBron notices, hey, Klay Thompson ain't the same cat on the defensive end of the floor. I want to go at him with the head of steam, and LeBron oftentimes, more than not, was able to win those matchups. So that's why we're having that conversation of, do you switch things up? You're 2-9 in your last 11 games. Do you go with Jordan Poole in the starting 5 to at least see if that helps Jordan Poole and helps Klay Thompson? Maybe you can manage Klay's minutes a little bit more as well and just switch things up a little bit, because right now, it ain't it for the Dub Nation. Should Poole replace Klay in the starting 5? Your opportunity to be as much a part of the show as me, as the host. Let me know down below. S for start, B for bench. While you're down there, subscribe if you haven't already done so to stay on top of the best Warriors news and rumors.